Let's dive into social media. What are the best social media platforms to be on?
The Instagram is still really up there. The other channel that I really like to use, and I actually like to use them together for clients, is I've done, talks, worked with Adobe, LG, worked with some really big brands. When I first started my business, one of my biggest fears was being judged by other people. Someone local to me made up some silly rumors. It really knocked me. It was kind of one of those things where this has to work. If you've got an idea or if you've got a business idea, if you don't do it, someone else will just do it. What's relatable? What is going to get a reaction here? People go to either laugh or learn, and you've got to be thinking to yourself, okay, my audience, what do my audience do? What do they do for work? When are they going to be most active on socials?
If you were to give some general guidelines on how much to post, how much to do variety, times of day to post, what's your general guideline?
One of the first things is, and one other thing that I will say to that as well is, that's the stuff that goes viral.
Hey everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Success School podcast. I just want to say thank you so much for being here and taking time to listen to the show today. And I also just want to make sure you are aware that my whole mission with this podcast is to be able to give people access to conversations that are going to enlighten, they're going to inspire, and they're going to give you the information needed to genuinely start to live a happier, a healthier, and a more fulfilling life. But here's the thing, I am just one man. So that's really, really hard to get a lot of people to be positively impacted when I'm doing this alone. So I'm just going to ask a little favor. And I know you're probably sick of hearing this. You probably hear it on every podcast you listen to. But please, if you genuinely do think this podcast is valuable and can help people, if you could just take a second to hit that subscribe button, and maybe go one further, tell other people about it, share it on your Insta stories, anything you can do to help bring more awareness to the show would be greatly appreciated. Thanks for being here, and I really hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome, Abby. First things first, thank you so much for being here, and I'm so excited to dive in on this episode, all things social media. Your company, Dirty Digtal. I'm already just intrigued by the name. I love the sound of it. Tell us, for you.
Dirty Digital, it's pretty self-explanatory, I think, when it comes to social media, because I feel like a lot of people think it is the dirty work, right?
Absolutely. And I think obviously we were just saying about 2 years ago, and you did a really, really good talk at an event where we were both actually speaking at, and there were so many golden nuggets you spoke about what you do and how you help clients. I'm really excited to dive into this. And I've got a lot of people that listen that are entrepreneurs, or they're just starting a bit of a side hustle, or they're building a personal brand. And a lot of them either have stress over putting themselves out there, or knowing what right strategy to do, or knowing how much to post or where to post. So we're going to dive into all that. But you yourself are obviously a business owner. So I thought we'd just start by asking a little bit about, why did this company come about? What made you start this business?
So I think my story is very similar to a lot of people, and it came around actually in the pandemic. This was a pandemic baby. So prior to the pandemic, I was in marketing. I was running 2 different jobs and a social media blog. And then the pandemic hit, and unfortunately, like so many others, I got made redundant, and I took about 3 months off. And I really remember my friend saying to me, enjoy taking this time off at the moment, because at some point you're going to be busy again. And I thought to myself, I can't see that happening at the moment. And obviously a lot of people were in the same position. And then weirdly, over the next month, a lot of people just I think people in my area got wind that I'd been made redundant. So a lot of projects kind of started coming up. And then within 4 to 5 months, because everything had gone digital, I was more or less fully booked. And I thought to myself, I really need to start marketing myself now. So actually, my business was born out of kind of necessity of helping others and supporting others at that sort of time. And I think a lot of people actually started their own businesses during the pandemic, and smaller businesses, so needed support with social media. And it was that time when Reels had just come onto the scene as well. So that was kind of like my main focus was video, and that's where it kind of came from, really.
I just think it's a great example of when we're pushed into the unknown and our backs against the wall. Like, as human beings, that can be the best time to be creative, to be innovative, and to take that leap of faith. Like, I don't know if you agree with this, but there might have been a chance that you maybe never started that business at this stage had you not been forced to, right? Which is interesting.
And I think as well, like, I always wanted to start my own business, or I wanted to do something, but I think I just couldn't really find what that was. And even though I was in marketing, I never thought to myself, oh, I could just do this by myself. So I think when your back's pushed up against the wall, and obviously, of course, I had bills to pay at the time as well. And it was kind of one of those things where this has to work, like I have to make this work. So I think that kind of like hunger and drive was a real push to make my business work, and obviously support others as well at the time. So yeah, it was a really interesting time.
I think there's a message there for anyone listening. If you're at that place where you're like, you need to make a change, maybe ask the question, is it just that things aren't bad enough? And that's why you're just kind of half dipping your toe in, half staying. And I think sometimes when you just go, I've got no choice, I have to make this work, sometimes that's the only way it genuinely works. I see this time and time again. One of the biggest things holding people back is because things are not great, but they're also not terrible. So people just put up with it, and years go by without just taking that leap of faith, backing yourself and starting that business. And you're a great example of somebody who, that you was in that position and he was like, people need this, I can deliver, let's just bloody go. So let's dive into social media. I think the question that everybody gets confused about, because there's so many different people saying so many different things, and also things do change in the world of social media quite rapidly. So based on, at the time of recording right now, based on your experience and what you're doing with clients, what would you say are the best social media platforms to be on to build your business, and why?
Okay, so this one, you have to remember, for everyone that is sitting there, there is no one size fits all social media strategy. Like, I work with a lot of different types of businesses from different industries. So there is no one size fits all. Everything should be bespoke. But right now, taken into consideration with everything changing at the moment, Instagram, I feel, has really made a bit of a comeback, especially from last year, competing with platforms such as TikTok. Instagram, I find I get really good results on for clients using a mixture of content. So not using real, but also using a mixture of carousels and stories to convert clients. So I would say that Instagram is still really up there, especially if you've got a business, product-based business or service-based business. The other channel that I really like to use, and I actually like to use them together for clients, is TikTok. So obviously TikTok is predominantly a video-based platform. I like to use TikTok and Instagram together almost as a funnel. So I like to, for my clients, bring people through to TikTok almost at the top of the funnel to get people to fall in love with the brand and get people to understand the product, if you've got a product, or get to know you as a service-based provider and have some fun with it. So that's the kind of platform that you're doing a bit more like rawer content, and it's not as clean as what Instagram is. And then I'm using TikTok from TikTok is bringing people through to Instagram and then converting them into raving superfans and clients.
So would you say the content on TikTok needs to be, like you said, more real, more relatable, maybe quite entertaining as well? Because a lot of people scroll through just wanting entertainment on TikTok, right?
On TikTok, people go to either laugh or learn. So I kind of find that you can mix your content up between funny content, but then obviously very value packed, very educational. So they're kind of, seeing the more personal side, and then obviously getting a lot of value and education from that. also on TikTok, nothing's really very polished. So you can kind of use it almost as like Instagram stories are. So if you were out, say walking the dog, and you thought about something around your business and you want to share that, it's almost as easy as kind of picking the phone up and filming yourself. And it doesn't need to be polished. It actually does better if it's just more off the cuff rather than edited and cleaner, what kind of Instagram is.
You said there as well, you use it as a funnel where you divert people. You get the eyes on TikTok and then you want to move them over to Instagram. Now, obviously, it's not a guarantee that just because people are on TikTok, they'll go to Instagram. Have you got any tips on how to actually encourage people to follow you on other platforms from there?
Sorry, Matt, I just missed that last bit. So was you saying about converting in Instagram?
Yeah, just any tips there on how you would actually help move people from, because not everyone's going to necessarily follow you on other platforms.
So, okay.
Is there anything? Yeah, go on.
What I would do is using call to actions, obviously pushing people through to your Instagram. You've got a link that you can use for TikTok putting your Instagram link into your TikTok bio. TikTok lives also talking about Instagram as well. So just pushing people and converting them through there. And then Instagram is almost like your shop front. So the content is cleaner. You've got quite kind of more of like an aesthetic and a kind of wider strategy on there. Whereas in TikTok is like your Instagram stories almost.
Okay, that's brilliant. That is so clear. I'm sure so many people already are like, oh, this just makes things so much simpler for me. I know exactly what to do on which platform. I know how to move people over. You spoke there about like combinations of reels and carousels, and obviously you can do standard picture posts. You can do videos. We can do live videos. Again, I imagine it's not a case of one size fits all, but if you were to give some general guidelines on how much to post, how much to do variety from carousel to reels or whatever, and sort of times of day to post, anything around that, what's your kind of general guidelines?
Yeah. So again, one of the first things I ask clients when I'm sitting down and doing one-to-one, doing power hours and things like that is, what feels sustainable for you and what can you keep a consistent rhythm with? So what is going to stop you from burning out? Because I cannot sit here and say to you, right, I want you to be posting 5 reels per day, carousels, this, that, and the other, because social media is going to feel really overwhelming for you, and then you're going to probably be really inconsistent with it, fall out of love with it, and then we're not going to get anywhere. So first of all, sit down and think to yourself, okay, how much time can I dedicate to this? And actually, what am I really good at? Am I better off sitting on Canva? Am I good at creating graphics? Am I really good at taking photos? Can I do a bit of a mixture? How comfortable do I feel talking to the camera? Or am I better off creating some B-roll content, which is, say, content that looks really nice, or of you making coffee and I can put text over the top? So I think that what you need to be asking yourself, just to keep this, because I don't want to give a generic answer of one size fits all. I just think that, think to yourself, what are my goals here? Like, am I going for a real big growth stage? Now, if you are going for a really big growth stage and you want to grow, then obviously reels at the moment are getting a lot of reach. So you've got potential to reach lots of people. So then you want to obviously be thinking to yourself, right, I'm going to create some more video content, going to create some more reels. And then maybe I say to my clients to keep a consistent rhythm 3 to 5 times per week of posting. And if you can mix that up and use like some carousels, so some photos, maybe some graphics, and then obviously some videos to show the personal side to your business as well, that gives kind of like a good variety. And so that's kind of obviously on your grid. Your stories are really powerful to show, again, the personal side to your business, using them to kind of like 70% to educate and to speak about your business, and then the other 30% to actually show that kind of personal side, to show that you are a human being, so we can connect with that person behind the business. So going back to your question, Matt, and just to kind of round that up, think about what feels sustainable for you. So if you can post 3 to 5 times per week. But if you're posting 3 times per week and you feel that you can do 3 really good reels, then great. And then use the stories on the days that you're not posting, then that would be good as well. But just try and get into like a consistent rhythm of what feels good. And one other thing that I will say to that as well is, I think that as business owners, sometimes we get in our own heads about like creating content and whether it looks good and whether it doesn't look good. I agree that you should be creating content that's of good quality, like excellent quality rather than quantity. But I do feel like creating more content and getting it out there and seeing what works, it kind of builds confidence rather than because I think sometimes people start obsessing over the quality of one piece of content and you'll never get it out there. So the more content that you create, the better that you'll kind of become.
Great. Now, what about post times? So like you say, you might do 3 to 5 posts a week. Would you suggest, well, I got kind of 2 questions. Number one, would you suggest posting at the same time on those days every day? And then the second thing is there an ideal time? Because I've heard kind of 2 schools of thought of this. Number one is just post when most people are active, maybe like 7, 8 p.m. on an evening, for example. But actually, I heard someone say different recently, and I'm not sure I agree with this or not. I'm interested in your take. But what this other lady was saying was, if you look at like the graph of like when people are active, if you start to get activity at say 5 a.m. and then you get quite a lot at 6 and then a lot at 7, and then like if you do the 5 a.m. post, you're going to get that traffic all day versus just the 8 p.m. And I was like, yeah, but at 5 p.m. there's hardly anyone up. So then I don't get much engagement, which then means is Instagram going to show it to as much of that traffic later? And I was like, I don't know. What do you think? Oh, no, maybe you know the answer. So what do you know?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know the answers. Again, I say a lot of this is kind of trial and error. I've got clients that I manage that at 8 o'clock, their posts do really well. But if I was to post something for them at say 6 p.m., it would tank. Whereas I've got clients which are the opposite. I've also tested the method of my busiest posting time of people when they're online is 3 o'clock. So I tried and had to play around with the 3 until later on in the evening. But I agree with you, Matt. I don't feel that there's enough people on Instagram scrolling to give that to get that boost of engagement for then the algorithm to deem it as good content and push out to more people. So I think it depends on what your business is, and you've got to be thinking to yourself, okay, my audience, what do my audience do? What do they do for work? When are they going to be most active on socials? If I was someone that was selling children's products, for example, or children's clothes, I'm not going to be posting in the morning because I know that they're going to be really busy getting the kids ready for school, right? So I'm better off to be posting in the evenings when they know that they've got the kids going to bed. So I think that it's, again, just like thinking about your audience and when they're going to be more online. Check your insights as well. I don't know whether you use your insights, but just check and have a little look. Whether the data is 100% correct on there or not, I don't know. I think it's quite it seems to have, when I look at the accounts that I've managed, it seems about right. But I would just say, again, have a play around with it and just think to yourself, like Saturday nights, people are out and about on Saturday nights, and maybe go for morning times. So it would vary.
I love that. I think it just gives that such good advice. Like, firstly, think about what your audience is doing and when they're actually on social media, when they're likely to be consuming content. And secondly, it's just trial and error. Find what works and then duplicate that. And then if it stops working, try again a different time. I think, really, really, really good advice, that. So thank you so much. So here's a question. Is there any standout mistakes you cringe every day and you're like, oh, what is there any traps people fall into and go wrong on social media?
Do you know what? I think one of the ones that I actually heard of on a train recently, I was overhearing someone's conversation on a train, and they were talking to their friend. They're just starting a business, and they were just starting a restaurant business. And they were saying to them, oh, yeah, we're going to start our social media. But what we've done is we've got an old account that's got 20,000 followers on it. And what we're going to do is we're just going to change the name of that account. And then we're just going to use that one because it looks good because we've got loads of followers. And I was thinking, oh, no, please, I really want to step in here, but I shouldn't have been listening to your conversation. It is honestly, please do not buy followers, or it's really not about the follower account. And Matt, if you think about that event that we spoke at, there was probably 50 people in the room. If you had 50 followers on social media, people think to themselves, that's not a lot of people. But if you think of 50 people in a room, that's a lot of people to kind of be speaking to. So again, like the follower account, buying followers, like that kind of all makes me cringe a little bit, because I just think to myself, it's not about that. And you want you do want a steady growth. So that was kind of one of the things that I would say makes me cringe on social media.
I believe you want an audience that are loyal and an audience that are engaged. And I also believe, isn't it right, that if you've got a load of fake inactive followers, that's actually going to damage your reach on some level as well?
Yeah. So you want to, sorry, just bouncing off the back of that, when connection went. But the idea with social media is you really want to be creating a community of raving super fans. You want to be creating a community where people talk to each other in the comments, where they're talking about your product, they're talking about your brand, and you want to be thinking that each person that has pressed follow, create a relationship with them. Like, your social media has become an amazing tool for people to be able to sell on. But I think that we forget that the whole reason that social media was there was for people to be social. I don't know whether you've heard today, I came off a strategy call and I went into a whole scrolling through Grace Beverly's content, and she's a young entrepreneur, and she owns a brand called We Are Tala. And I just go and have a little look at her after. She's young girl, but she's created a brand where her product, she sold bomber jackets and she made £1 million in 1 hour. It was absolutely mental. But what I did today is I took 10 minutes, 20 minutes probably, scrolling through her content and had a look at what she's done. And what she's done has created this community where I feel that she could sell anything and it would sell out, because people have really fallen in love with the brand. So it just goes to show that focusing on each person as an individual and creating that community is key.
Wow, amazing. Everybody's heading over there straight after this call, I'm sure. They're like, I need to see what she's saying, what she's doing. I think that's so key, isn't it? It's making sure that, like you say, you've got those super fans, people who genuinely trust you and love what you're about and engage with your content. What if people have got maybe a small group of fans and they feel they're posting consistently, they feel they're doing stuff at the right times of day and getting decent engagement, but maybe they've been doing it for a few years now consistently, and they've yet to have those pieces that go, as people call, viral, where they get those hundreds of thousands, if not millions of views. And, we see people doing it on TikTok. Have you got any tips that helps a piece of content stand a better chance of going viral?
Yeah, okay. So I would say, first of all, like, if your strategy, if you're doing on socials what you were doing, say, 1 year ago, you really want to look at revisiting that, because socials change every single month. So what works now, what worked then probably won't work now, and you probably need to shake it up a little bit and change that up so that it's in line with your goals. Matt, what did you say? Question. Can you remind me of your question?
Yeah, no, that's fine. So just in regards to tips, really, on what makes a piece of content have a higher chance of getting the viral hits?
Have you ever seen, when you scroll through social media and people are sharing, it could be quotes, videos, or point of views, and you think to yourself, oh my God, that's me. I feel seen. That is me in that content. You want to be taking yourself and putting yourself in your ideal client's shoes and thinking what's relatable, what is going to get a reaction here, like relatable content. So you want to be relating to your audience, and almost content that also does really well that I've noticed is something that you think is weird, or something that you do, or that you think is weird that no one else does. Trust me, there will be a million people out there that do the same thing. That is the sort of thing that goes viral and does really well. The stuff that you think no one else thinks about, or stuff that you think no one else does, that's the stuff that goes viral, because it's like, oh my God, that's me. Oh my God, she said what everyone else was thinking. That sort of stuff.
When I'm thinking of that, the only thing that came to mind is I have a sit down wee. I love a good sit down wee. I'm not.
Shall we sit down wee?
Oh yeah, shall we sit down wee? I don't think I'll do a video on that, or maybe I should. Maybe that's where I'm going wrong. I need to do sit down wee videos. Brilliant. I think everybody listening will be like, yeah, some of the stuff that maybe we've all engaged with and shared, it is that quirky, weird, and wonderful stuff that we all have about us, and it's like you feel seen. I think I see people say that, don't they, a lot when they share stuff. It's like, I feel seen, and it's usually something funny or quirky or whatever. Now I know, like, when people are trying to be consistent on social media, it's one thing coming up with the content ideas. It's another thing filming it and posting it and getting out there regular. But there's also the headache of bloody editing the thing regularly. And people are getting better and better at editing. And, you want your stuff to look quality and stand out. Have you got any tips, any advice on really good apps and software and things like that help make editing simple, easy, and effective?
Yeah, I love CapCut. You can download it on your phone. It's free. You can get a paid version if you want to, and you can also download it on your computer. And it is so easy to use, and it's also integrated with TikTok as well. So everything you can edit on TikTok is the same app for CapCut. Some ideas for you when you are filming, like little things, like if you film yourself talking, I don't know whether you're like me, I'm not a Gen Z, I'm a millennial, so I do that thing. I don't know whether you saw the millennial pause. So if I go to film myself, I always pause before I start talking. With CapCut, like little things, just try and sharpen up talking videos so there's not unnecessary dead space. I think that does really well, and that's really good for engagement. There's some wicked captions, like auto captions, you want to be putting on there to keep your users nice and engaged. You've got to remember things like people watch videos, especially in the evening. If you're posting reels and they're talking videos, they'll watch them while they're scrolling on Netflix, or while their other half is watching the football, so they can't have the sound on. So you want to just make sure that you've got your captions on, and CapCut has some really wicked options to add captions and stuff like that. So definitely go download CapCut. That's a good one to use.
Now, most of you that listen to this show every week are also already members of our incredible membership, so you don't need me to tell you how amazing that it is. If you're not a member, I'm not going to list everything that you get, because it's completely free to join anyway. So all I would say is click the link in our show notes, head on over, start your membership, and you will find out for yourself. But simply put, the membership is this. It is there to give you the guidance, the support, the accountability, the community, and the information that is there if you actually want to start to become a person who achieves what it is you say you want to achieve. If you want to become that high performance action taker, that person that is a go-getter, that has got the support to start making change in every single area of your life, that's what the membership does. That is what we are there to do. And I can tell you now, that if you take action, if you sign up, and if you commit to consistently engaging with the membership, I can almost 100% guarantee you that it will positively impact every single area of your life. But I can't do that for you. You are the missing link. You need to click that link. You need to sign up. You need to join us, and you need to get involved. If you do, the results will come. The question is, will you do it? I don't know, but I really hope so. And if you do, I'll be excited to welcome you into the community. Guys, I've got a question to ask. If you are listening to this podcast right now and you haven't yet purchased a ticket for our live in-person event, what on earth are you doing? You need to stop listening. You need to go purchase your ticket, and you need to make your way to Bradford on Saturday, the 6th of January, to get yourself in the room. No excuses. I don't care if it's your day of your wedding. Cancel your wedding. You can postpone it. It's not as important as this. If you were at the first event that we did in Manchester, you will know just how powerful it is to get into a room full of people who are like-minded, to engage in the great content, to meet the guest speakers, and to bloody well meet me. Like, what more do you need? All jokes aside, I seriously think out of everything I've ever done, putting on these events is the thing I enjoy the most. I think it is the most powerful and impactful, and it has the potential to genuinely change your life. It has the potential to help you connect with some great people that could become lifelong friends. There's just so many benefits. What I've done is I've put the link to get tickets in the show notes of this episode. So just head over there if you want to get a ticket. There's going to be some great speakers. We're also going to be doing some group breath work. We're going to be doing some group coaching where I'll be there coaching you guys on the day. We'll be talking about some stuff that's genuinely going to get you thinking about what you want out of your life and what you need to be doing to take the steps to make those changes. You're also going to be invited to do some cold water therapy. It's not compulsory. There's just going to be the opportunity if you want to do it. I certainly will be doing it. So if you want to get in an ice bath with me, that will be available to you. We're also going to be having some really healthy, nutritious foods available to eat on the day. It's just going to be such a positive day. The way that I'm sort of marketing it is like a little mini retreat in Bradford. Who knew? Who knew you could do that in winter in Bradford? It's happening, like I say, on the Saturday the 6th. It's going to be in the day, and I would love to see you there. Click the link to get your ticket. Drop me a message. You can either email me at successschoolgroup@gmail.com or DM me on the various social media handles if you've any questions. But do get your tickets fast, because I'm not just saying this is a marketing thing. I am very, very pleased to see they are selling very, very quickly. So don't procrastinate. Take action, and I'll see you there. I'm literally just looking across at all the people watching live. I've never seen so many people not look up from their notepad. They're just writing stuff non-stop. And I'm like, go on. That is the sign of a great evening. So the other thing that I think is a massive struggle for people is they might have the great vision of what business they want to create. They might have great ideas of the content that they need to do. They might have a great social media strategy. They now know what app to use. But then it just comes to the confidence of actually getting themselves to bloody do it and get themselves out there on a regular basis. Have you got any advice when it comes to mindset and when it comes to having the confidence to get themselves out there?
Let me tell you a story. When I first started my business, one of my biggest fears was being judged by other people. And what happened was I was really fearless in the beginning, and I was just putting content out there. And then what actually happened was someone local to me got wind that I'd never really even met, that I had started a business and made up some silly rumors and was kind of thinking, who does she think she is, putting herself out there. And it got back to me, and I heard about it, and it really knocked me for a couple of weeks. And then I sort of thought to myself, do you know what? I've been doing really well. I've really enjoyed making these videos. They're helping so many people. So do you know what? I don't care what you say, and I'm going to continue to do this. And looking on from that 3 years from now, And I've done, talks, worked with Adobe, LG, worked with some really big brands. And I might have stopped achieving all of that just because of one person. So I think to yourself, I think you need to think that you are always going to be judged by people. Like, you just actually can't avoid that. And especially when you put yourself out there online, you have to kind of think to yourself, like, is the fear of putting myself out there and being judged like worse than actually not achieving my business dreams? So think to yourself as well, like, your fear of other people's opinions aren't going to pay your bills and aren't going to help other people either. So I just think imposter syndrome, I always look at my imposter syndrome almost as like a person on my shoulder, and I think to myself, right, today I'm going to put you in my pocket and I'm going to ignore you and then kind of crack on. We all have it. Like, I've made hundreds of videos. I think some of my videos have had over like 7 million views by people, and I still wake up with imposter syndrome, and I still sometimes wake up and don't want to put myself out there. But I think you just have to kind of like think to yourself, people are always going to have something to say, but that does come from a projection of their own insecurities, and for them to be projecting that onto you. So just fucking go for it.
Oh man. No, I just want to touch on that actually, because it just made me reflect that we've had very few guests on here that are doing great things that haven't had that side to it as well. It's almost like it's just part of the parcel, and it is. There's no way around it. It is just shit. It's so sad, and it just makes me sad to hear stories like that where you're like, I could have stopped, but look at the amazing stuff I've done. And one comment really does have the power to be that damaging. I myself, most people know my story just through association of a previous coach that was one of my coaches for a bit. I got a lot of online hate, people saying he's a scammer and scam artist. And for me, it's one thing being hated or not agreed with or not liked, but to be called a scammer, like for people who've never even worked with me, just they're looking in from the outside, really, really, really affected me. It really hurt me. And it made me question everything. But I think for anybody that's struggling with that hate, you've always got to come back to they don't know you, but you know you. And you've got to come back to your values, your morals. Like, are you doing this for the right reason? Are you working hard, giving your best effort? Is your intention to genuinely help people and do your best for them? And if you can validate yourself and you know that you're doing it for the right reason, you've just got to try and lean into that and block out the noise of the bastards, because they're always going to be there. And anyone who ever achieved anything substantial has had a level of it in one way, shape or form. So you're not alone. It is bullshit. If people could be kinder and less judgmental, it'd be lovely, but it is what it is. Take that, use it. And in many ways, actually, to be honest, Abby, it's made me a better coach, because I'm so aware if there's people who I even get a sniff of that they might be quite scamming or overcharging, I'm like, I don't want to associate with you. I don't want to work with you. In many ways, those haters have probably made me stronger and better.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
Right. There you go. And that's because we had that perspective to use it. That's not saying it didn't fucking probably knock us both down for a few days and hurt us at times, because I know it absolutely did for me. But yeah, just something I wanted to share just to add on to that, Abby, because I think it's such a common theme and it's one of the biggest blocks that stops people. And like you said perfectly, Abby, just fucking do it. Fuck them all.
Yeah, it's really scary as well. Like, I'm not saying it's easy to put yourself out online. Like, you're literally opening yourself for people to project their opinions onto you. But I just think, like, what is actually more scary? Like, what is the worst that can actually happen? Like, imagine in years to come, like looking back and you know what, if you've got an idea or if you've got a business idea, if you don't do it, someone else will just do it. So you might as well just feel the fear and crack on.
I'm looking at people, I'm thinking Savannah, Helen, I'm looking at you also. Someone else is going to do it. So bollocks to the judgment. We ain't got time for judgment. Let's crack on. Brilliant. All right. Last couple of questions, because I do want to be mindful of the time and make sure we've still got plenty of time for the Q&A with the members as well. I just want to touch on briefly your thoughts around paid ads, because there comes a point, where people maybe feel they've exhausted organic advertising. They feel they've done as much as they can. And then they're starting to think, is the next step paid ads? Like, have you got any advice around when that might be something to consider, or how much money to start to think about using? Anything around that?
Yeah, okay. So I work for full transparency predominantly with organic marketing. However, I do have people that I collaborate with who work on paid ads. So when I feel a brand it's interesting, actually. I have got a new client that started to work with me, and straight away they were like, we want to do paid ads. And I just said, no, let's hold our horses a moment. You want to kind of get like real raving super fans and to build that community up first, and then obviously to make sure that you've got a product that is selling naturally. You've got website hits, you've got a good funnel, like good landing page. And the one thing that I would say, please do not do, is to boost posts. Like, I believe from what I've seen, it's literally chucking money down the drain. So I would say stay away from that. This moment that you go on Instagram, I'm talking about Instagram mainly, and start boosting posts, it kind of like the Instagram as an app will just want more money from you. So you're almost it's not going to give your organic stuff as much reach, so you're always going to be just chucking money at it.
Is that actually proven, by the way, Abby? Because I've heard Aaron Knightley said he had a theory that that's happened. I've heard people think it. Is that actually true? Do you know that you will be penalised?
It's from what I've seen. I would say, I mean, I worked with a client last year. We was doing really well. Like reels were getting massive amounts of reach. Website traffic, XYZ, and then they were boosting posts without me realizing. And then once I realized, I was like, let's stop that a minute. And everything kind of like fell, like what we'd built. And I was just like, the only explanation for this is the boosting of the posts. And obviously I've spoken to other social media strategists and stuff like that. So it's not that I say that don't do it at all. It's just that if you're going to use paid ads, I would say don't do the boosted ads and actually work with someone that does Facebook Ads Manager, because you can obviously change the settings and it's like more of a deeper dive than rather just, okay, people from 20 to 35 and then selecting £5 per day. You don't really know what you're going to get. Whereas if you're using Facebook Ads Manager, you can kind of like change up the demographics, so it's more, what's the word, giving more information basically. It's
interesting as well, just hearing you say that. I've reflected. So a lot of people know, like, one of the things I do, one of my main bands that I manage is a Take That tribute band, and on our Facebook page we've built up over years 21,000 followers. And if they go live on there or whatever, we get sometimes thousands of views and things like that. But actually, we've done the boosted posts specifically for if, like, we're doing a theatre in Weymouth, we'll target that area and do a post or whatever. And we now, that page has got used to us regularly putting hundreds of pounds on ads. And we've done posts recently, and you can see it's had like less than 100 views or 6 likes or stuff like that. And I wonder if that's another example of what you're saying there, where the accounts got used to it.
Have you used Facebook Ads Manager, or are you boosted?
So on that, it was the boost predominantly rather than the ads manager. So interesting. I think it's another example.
Yeah. Also, I would say, like, with things like that, if you feel that you've got a dead account that's getting like, say, 5 likes, 10 likes, and you've got thousands of followers on there, don't be scared to like start another account. And I'm not saying this just for you, this is for like other people. Like, people again get sucked up into the followers and how many people they've got on there, but if their audience is not seeing their posts, there's obviously something maybe wrong with the content. Or I would say maybe start a new account again and try it and use the collaboration tool to push traffic backwards and forwards.
I also just want to add, because I think you've made a really good point about, make sure you're building stuff well organically and you're getting that good community around you before you do the paid ads, because otherwise you're bringing in a new cold audience to just a dead page and posts that don't have much engagement. And also, just to share full transparency, everybody in this group will know, but we've got an event coming up in a few months at the time of recording. And I've literally just about 4 days ago, Zoe's got her arms in the air. Literally about 4 days ago, just started an ad campaign, which is done in Ad Manager properly, specifically targeting people for that. And I'm only spending about 15 quid a day just trialing it. And one of the things I did is go in our WhatsApp group with Successful and say, hey guys, look, when something's going out to a cold audience, people are going to be skeptical. They're going to, want to look in the comments. Would you all mind, anybody that's got a ticket or that was at the last event, just put a little comment down there, just sharing your experience. I think about maybe 9 or 10 of you did, which was amazing. Thank you so much. And I've got to say, I'm only spending 15 quid a day. And at the time, I think it's been 4 days or we're into the 5th day. I can't remember. We sold about 11 tickets specifically off that ad. And I think part of it will be the fact that I'm not just showing it to a cold audience, but when that cold audience looks at it, they can see in the comments, there's real people that are fans of what this event is, that have engaged with it. It gives people that extra reassurance, which you really need when you're going out to a cold audience and asking them to give you money at the end of the day. So I just wanted to, again, give a bit of a live example of what Abby's saying there, that really think about that before you start spending any money whatsoever. Abby, this has been gold. I just feel like we could talk all bloody day. But we'll just start to kind of wrap up the main interview. I just want to say, if people are hearing about you, and I'm sure there's many people that are like, I need to follow Abby, I need to see more of what she's about and maybe get in touch with her. Where would you say the best places that people can follow you, and what's your Instagram handles and all that kind of good stuff?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Dirty Work Digital. Give me a follow and come and say hi. I'm always chatting to people in the DMs and stuff. I'm not really one of those that's like, don't contact me. Come and say hi and hang out.
Amazing. Final question that I always ask every guest on the show to finish off. Abby, what is your personal definition of success?
Oh, so I've been thinking about this one today. My success, I thought, to me personally, used to look like possibly having money, running a really successful big business, maybe an agency, this, that, and the other. But this year I got diagnosed with Crohn's disease and got really sick and wasn't able to work for about 6 months. So I had my team kind of handling that. And what I've done since coming back is building a business that's actually allows me freedom, more time. So success to me looks like building a business that feels good, gives me sort of freedom, more time, and more balanced, rather than burnt out and running into the ground, I guess, at the moment. But I think success changes as well, depending on where you're at in life.
I love it. And I think that's a really valid point. Like, your definition of success, I believe, if you're working on personal development and you're constantly working on yourself, will more than likely keep changing. And what you value might change slightly, and what's important to you might change. And that's not necessarily a bad thing either. I always talk about different seasons, right? And things like that. And it's about what season of your life you're in right now. Abby, this has been absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so I know I said I wasn't going to bang on about everything that's inside the membership, and that's true. I didn't lie to you. I'm not going to tell you everything because it's free to join. Go over there, find out for yourself. But one thing I do want to make sure you're aware of is pretty much almost every guest that you listen to on this podcast also agrees to do a further around about 30 minutes worth of the chat that is only available to the members only. Because what we do is we invite our members to listen to a lot of these podcasts being recorded live. And then once we've finished, they stay on the live on Zoom, where they can actually ask questions to the guest speaker and get more personalized, bespoke answers. Now, if you want to be on the upcoming episodes, if you want to meet these guests and put your question to them, and if you also want to right now start to listen to all the past few years worth of these conversations, head on over to the link in the show notes. Start your free trial today. And just to let you know as well, it's less than £5 a week after your free trial ends. So it's not going to cost you a lot of money, even if you want to stay long term. Click that link, start your trial, go listen to the content, get your invite to come and join us on all future podcast recordings. And I look forward to seeing you in our amazing, incredible community of people in the membership area. Guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode today, and I'll see you next time.